The Bunurong Jigsaw Project. The Bunurong Jigsaw Project has been designed for the Year 2 students at Durinya Primary School. It is a project-based learning unit the entire cohort collaborates on to explore the Mornington Peninsula as Bunurong country, engaging with its historical and contemporary significance. To ensure learning is culturally grounded, I would begin by working with the school leadership team to formally connect with the Bunurong Land Council and Big Bunjil to identify appropriate elders and knowledge holders who can guide planning, cultural protocols, and pedagogical decision-making. Students work in small groups researching different geographical sections of the Bunurong coastline, investigating local suburbs' histories, flora and fauna, using community-approved resources and opportunities for on-country learning, where country becomes teacher. Each group then collaboratively designs their geographical division using visual arts techniques to represent their learning. These pieces ultimately form a large-scale cohort-created jigsaw of Bunurong country, displayed publicly for the school community to view, strengthening visibility of First Nations perspectives. By integrating Hass geography and history and visual arts, students develop deep content knowledge alongside critical thinking, collaboration, creativity, and communication. Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander students see their identities reflected and valued, while non-Indigenous students engage in truth-telling and country-centred inquiry. This reciprocal relationship-centred approach fosters positive community-school partnerships and actively contributes to reconciliation. The Bunurong Jigsaw Unit supports the inclusion of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander perspectives across the curriculum by embedding a relationship-first approach grounded in elders' guidance, cultural protocols, and on-country learning. Scaffolded opportunities for students to hear community stories, connect with landscape, and learn directly from Bunurong knowledge holders ensures that First Nations perspectives are not treated as curriculum add-ons, but as central to how students understand place, history, and identity. The unit actively supports the well-being and safety of Aboriginal Torres Strait Islander students. Close collaboration between educators, families, and wellbeing professionals ensure trauma-aware practice. This includes reviewing content and resources with organisation Dinjubik Murup for potential triggers, preparing students for changes in routine inherent in on-country learning, and maintaining emotional safety through predictable structures, verbal prompts, and strong relational support. Whole class dialogic teaching further supports this by encouraging all learners to contribute to their own funds of knowledge. Importantly, this approach avoids positioning First Nation students as cultural experts or spokespeople. Instead, it invites equitable participation while still recognising and valuing Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander students as holders of cultural strength whose voices can contribute authentically and voluntarily to the learning of the whole cohort. Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander students are able to see themselves, their identities, and their cultures reflected in this curriculum because the Bunurong Jigsaw Unit positions First Nations knowledge, cultural authority, and community voices at its foundation rather than its margins. By drawing on the work of Bunurong artist Glenn Shaw, whose practice is grounded in cultural permission and community held knowledge, students learn the meaning behind First Nations artistic symbols and visual languages and how to interpret these respectively before creating their own representations of their allocated Bunurong coastal division. This explicit teaching reinforces that cultural narratives must be taught through consultation, not imitation, affirming First Nations identity and valuing cultural integrity. The plan enables First Nations students to more fully participate in an inclusive curriculum by embedding country as teacher pedagogies that resonate with First Nations epistemologies, on-country learning, community-approved resources, and opportunities for students to express personal connections to land, sea, and sky. My plan is designed for all students to engage meaningfully in recognition, respect, and reconciliation by positioning Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander cultures and perspectives as central to the Bunurong Jigsaw Unit. Through place-based education, country as teacher pedagogy, and arts-integrated learning, students explore both historical and contemporary relationships to the Bunurong landscape. This allows them to develop a deep embodied connection to place while learning to interpret and express their understanding through culturally informed artistic techniques. Students critically examine local histories, colonial mapping practices, and the impact of dispossession on the Bunurong people. This truth-telling approach supports students to recognise the tensions, silences, and contradictions within Australia's historical narratives, fostering ethical thinking and respectful understanding of First Nations perspectives. Consistently recentering learning around Bunurong perspectives, how country was taken and how relationships to land endure, and how culture is maintained enables students to develop a grounded, contextualized understanding of reconciliation. My plan supports closing the education gap by creating culturally safe, representative, and participatory learning environments for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander students while building intercultural understanding for all learners. By centering partnerships and country as teacher, the unit embeds relational, experiential, Indigenous pedagogies that position First Nations knowledge systems as legitimate and central to the curriculum, counteracting their historical marginalisation. Thank you.